Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Into the Cipher State. This is the premier public broadcast of Galactica Network. It's a brand new layer 1 blockchain that is your ultimate private identity stack for Web3. The only way to protect yourself in the age of centralized control and artificial everything is fake, is to own yourself. Your data is being used and sold by the likes of Google and Meta, basically for their own benefit and profit. Our goal is to make sure that we return that control to you, so you get control of your data, you get to sell your data, all of your value remains yours. Now then, my handle is citizen42.gala within the Cipher State. You can call me Dave. This is a very open and friendly stage. If you have any interest in creating a business, in personal growth, in doing what's right for you in this world, in Web3 specifically, then you are more than welcome to come up here and request to speak, ask some questions of our wonderful guest today. We've also got Cosmos Hoss, who's said he will drop by today, so hopefully we'll get the pleasure of his presence. So it's going to be a good show. So first things first, bit of a disclaimer before we start. It's very important to remember that myself, any team members, any co-hosts that come up on this panel are your guides to navigating the Cipher State. We are not your financial advisors in any way, shape, or form. I'm pretty sure Marco from Samosa will probably echo those sentiments. So our guest opinions are very much their own. Nothing said in this space constitutes financial or investment advice. Now then, on to the welcome, man. Marco, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us, my friend. Really, really appreciate you coming along. How are you doing today, buddy? Yep, all audio through the X space, buddy, so you need to unmute on X.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Here we go. Any
We've
better
got you.
now? Can you
We've
hear me
got
okay?
you. Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Perfect. Hey, Dave. Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome, man. More than welcome. I don't think you've been up on our spaces before. The basics are we'll go through a little bit of news. We'll go through just a little bit of Galactica stuff, then some wider news that we might get your opinion on, and then we'll go straight into the main topic of business in Web3. Really looking forward to that. In the chat. No worries, man. In the chat, we've got Ilian, we've got Hervé, we've got Eric, Jourdain. Hello, hello, hello. Lots of hellos. Good evening, Wealthior. Nice to see you, man. Anatats, Stephanie, good to see you. I don't think I've seen you before. Welcome, Stephanie. Leslie, Sir Blanc, awesome. Let's do it. Shishu Kamehameha to you as well. That's the most epic greeting I've ever seen in my life, and you use it every time. I love it. So welcome. Oh, and we've got Hoss up. Let's get him in as co-host. We haven't spoken to Hoss in too long. Let's have a word. Okay. Salut, Gwen. Very well. Very, very glad you're here. And Taro, welcome. Okay. So we've got Hoss up on the stage. Hopefully in 2 seconds. Come on, X. You can do it. There we go, Hoss.
Hey,
What's up, my brother?
Good. I don't even know. It's been so long, right? In crypto time, it's been long. It probably hasn't been calendar.
I think it's been a few weeks. You know? It's not really that bad, but yeah.
Yeah. In this space, it feels like it's been millennials. Yeah, millenniums ago.
Absolutely, man. Damn. Marco, this is Hoss. He's my brother-in-arms, regular co-host. Haven't seen him in a few weeks, though. He's been off sick. He's been all sickly. So yeah, he'll be helping us out with questions, just being the boss that he is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so let's get straight into it. If you can do us the favor, everyone, we try and be educational on this space. We try and make sure that all the value goes to you, the listener. So if you could give us a like and a retweet on this space before we get started, that would be hugely appreciated. Get us out on the algorithm. Also helps if you put if you do your little emojis in the chat, if you do your thumbs up and you do your hundreds and all that stuff. It really actually helps in the algorithm. Just means that people are interested in what we're talking about. So it pushes us up. Awesome. Right then, everyone. So let's get into the news. So for Galactica, we are very excited that we've managed to soft launch, do a testing phase of our Cipher University. You should have access to the very first quests in our Cipher University. Those are related to the business faction, hence part of the reason why we chose this subject and why Marco is such a perfect guest for this particular subject. So if you're interested in learning a bit about personal growth, about networking, about building businesses specifically in Web3, then please, by all means, firstly, follow Samoto, who's up on stage, up on the speaker panel. And and then secondly, make sure that you jump in, check out our announcements in Galactica. You'll find the announcements right there. Just be aware, it is very much a testing phase. There will be things that are broken. I'm going to tell you that right now. So we are building in public right now with this thing. So we very much appreciate it if you use the feedback forms that have been provided and give us that feedback. It's super, super useful. Thank you. Righto. So as far as wider news, so we've got a couple of things. It's very much a wild day in this world of Web3, I suppose. So we've just had the FOMC meeting. We've just got the results back from that. I believe the rate is being dropped by 50 bips. So that's actually quite a substantial drop in interest rate, like really quite a substantial one. Firstly, Marco, I don't know if you've actually seen this news yet. Do you have any opinion on the interest rate in America? It seems to be quite important to many of the prices around us.
So, first of all, a bit of a background about myself. I was a derivatives and fixed income broker for 16 years. So I come from the TradeFi world. I've been monitoring interest rate for pretty much all my life, and to be honest, I had enough of it. This is the
If
beauty
you
of
don't want to
being
talk about that
inside.
because of that, if you've got bad experiences, don't worry, man.
Trust me, I've seen it. I've seen it all. No, comes as a bit of a shocker. Nobody was expecting to have such a magnitude. They're definitely rushing into taking action before the election. I was not expecting such a size, to be honest. So it came to as a shocker for a lot of people, me included.
Fair enough. What about the wider market? How do you think it's going to actually affect? How do you think it's going to affect Web3 specifically? How about that?
Interesting question. We are living an interesting cycle in crypto. First of all, I still challenge anybody to prove that this is a bull market. It doesn't feel like a bear. It doesn't feel like a bull. It's a lateral movement. And there is a lot of uncertainties. The same thing in traditional financial markets as it is for crypto. People are sitting in cash, sitting on stable. They're not taking action. They're not doing anything really. And this goes for day traders as the same for venture capital. A lot of venture capital extinguish their mandate. They're not taking more action. They're struggling themselves to raise liquidity from the LPs. So everyone is literally sitting on the line, not taking action. When it comes to crypto, we are expecting a bit of an up movement in the next 3 months. Again, it doesn't constitute financial advice. When it comes to equity, on the other end, we are seeing the condition for a retracement. To be honest, if we look even at large investors, they're starting to move more into either cash, precious, or some slightly less risky treasury bill, treasury bond, and things like that.
And I mean, honestly, your analysis kind of attracted my own. I think we're very much in a risk-off environment right now. Even still, I think that's not going to change in the near future. To be honest, everyone's just being careful. There's not much point in investing at this point, in my personal opinion. But that's not what I'm doing anyway. So Hoss, let's get Hoss's opinion before we jump on. Bro, I mean, I haven't seen you in like 3 weeks or something, or 4 weeks or whatever. I'd love to just get a little bit of an update from you too. I saw you're not bullish on Tia right now.
No, no, absolutely not. I think I don't know. I've been investing for a long time. But more so, w- thinking about crypto for the VC coins that have a lot of VC money. I've seen this over and over and over. I don't have any proof because I don't have the time to sit here and go look at all the different VC tokens and then see when their unlocks, like their big unlocks, start to happen. But just me being kind of tuned into the market, it seems generally every time within, let's say 30 to 45 days or so, or within closer, let's just use 45 days max. There always seems to be some sort of random pump for those tokens right before the unlocks happen. And, call is it manipulation? Is it people trying to front run because they think the price is going to go down, so there's a lot of shorts, and then the people that maybe these VCs and all them are making them pay, so then the market rips harder. Like a lot of things were just going up 6 7% or whatever, and you got TIA going up 20 25 30%. And this isn't a knock on Tia. Like I absolutely love what Tia is doing. Celestia, I think, is revolutionary. I think not this cycle, but next cycle. Let's say we do have a bull market. I think it'll be okay, but there's going to be so many different things that outperform it, and I even think Bitcoin will outperform it because of how much sell
It's
pressure is
just
going to
kind of
happen.
doing that thing that ICP did. If you remember ICP, like with the amount of sell pressure on that thing for how long that was selling.
Yeah, so like there is over $950 million worth of TIA gonna start daily getting dropped into the market starting on October 30th. So these VCs, it depends on what round they got in. Some of them got in for a penny, some of them got in for not even 10 pennies, like 10 cents, like little less than 10 cents. And then the last round got in for $1. So like what do you think they're gonna do? Like with the market liquidity and how it's been, like I agree a lot with Samoto was saying, the liquidity is so dry right now. There's so much uncertainty. Why? You would be an idiot. If I was the VC, I'd be dumping because it's like I'm locking in my profits, and then moving to something that's less risky. Whether I'm just like, you know what, I'll buy some Bitcoin, I'll buy some gold, I'll buy whatever they're gonna buy. They're gonna buy something else, and there will be a period like I'll be willing to bet basically anything on this. It might not happen instantaneously, but like within, I'd say November, December, that price is going down. Like it's just too much. It's like fighting gravity. And another thing too is that there's so much activity going on right now. Like so many different people are like waiting to launch their token. Like there's so many teams,
Oh,
like
yeah,
so many,
yeah, we've experienced that
so many.
ourselves. Yeah.
like I don't even know how many, but I would say hundred, like close to 100 teams probably within crypto that have been just playing this waiting game. Because why would you launch right now? You want to launch when there's like more positivity. It's just business acumen. You don't have to be like an investor. Yeah, why would you launch right now? So you have that too, and people are going to want to move money around, and if someone's basically, let's say, I don't want to say whoring, but basically promoting or bribing you to come to provide liquidity over here, and you can earn extra or whatever. These people are going to do it. I mean, that's where smart money is, and the difference between those type of individuals and the people that maybe like kind of give me some backlash on my I wrote an article that are giving me some backlash on it is they're emotional. Like the people that like don't see the principle of money and the principle of concept, they get emotional. It's like, well, VCs aren't emotional. That's why they're VCs. They're there to make money and move on to the next thing. And that's not to say after some of these the dilution comes that they don't swap back in there and buy some either. I'm not rolling that out. Um, I for one think this is my prediction. I've been saying it for a while. I think that Tia will be like Solana's next. It'll be Solana's next cycle. Like Tia is going to probably get beat up, my opinion, from all my research and everything, and I think that there will be a reckoning of the price. Now, I'm not saying sell your bags if you want to keep them, whatever you want to do. Nothing's financial advice, obviously,
Yeah, no
but
financial advice here, everyone. That
I
doesn't
just
happen
think
here.
I just like looking at the numbers and stuff. To me, I'm not some Bitcoin maxi. Like I love Bitcoin. I guess I am kind of like an undercover Bitcoin maxi. But like if you can't significantly outperform Bitcoin right now, I'm just kind of like not interested because I can buy Bitcoin, go to sleep, I can go work out, I can go to the park, I can go on vacation, I can do whatever, and you know that you're probably going to go up a little bit. And you might not go up as much as some other ones, but there's no like I need to stare at the charts. I need to do this. Like it's just lackadaisical. So
It is a
it's
bit
kind of
easier
worth
that way for sure. Yeah.
and if you look before I'll stop rambling, but like you look at from January 1st till now, I put this thing out because someone was kind of blasting me. I'm like, Bitcoin's up 36% from like January 1st till right now, which isn't crazy. But then you look at TIA, the price, it's down like 69 or close to 69%. Now that doesn't account for inflation and you get more tokens and all that other shit. Maybe you got some airdrops. So, and like I said, I am long TIA. Like I'm not touching it right now. But if we do get a bull market, say it lasts till the end of 2025 or till whenever, and then we get the bear market and prices are going to shit because it's just what happens every 4 years. Unfortunately, America controls everything. It's just a debt cycle, and it so happens to be probably some American created the Bitcoin cycle, and we call it the Bitcoin halving, and it
Bro, we
coincides
we,
with
we,
all
we
that.
don't we can't get into Bitcoin conspiracies right now. We just don't have the time.
Oh
It's
no, it's not a conspiracy. It just runs exactly in parallel, like literally the timing, like exactly when the halvening happens, and it's the 4-year debt cycle of America. If anyone's interested, look it up. It started basically in '08, and it's been just going like clockwork. And what happens? And I wasn't surprised about the 50 basis points, and I think it's going to just keep happening because I drive around like where I live at, and it's in a pretty nice area, and there's like all kind of places where homes have been kind of just sitting there, and people aren't buying homes, and that's when you start to notice like, oh shit, like shit's hitting the fan because before this, before all the interest rate hikes, a house like there's a house across the street from me. And it was not even on the market for a half hour, and it was sold. Like the realtor came, punched this like sign in the ground, and I kid you not, I looked out the window like an hour later, and it said pending sale. Like it
it's
was fucking
absolutely
crazy.
nuts right now, bro.
And
Really, really
then,
is. I want to get
so
Samoto's opinion because you had your
yeah.
hand up, bro. Let's sorry. What was your opinion on wherever it was?
So, hold on. Here we go. No, Hoss, you called it a rant, but I couldn't agree more with you, to be honest. Something big is happening, and there is no denying that. Now, the only thing that I would say is you said VC tend to be they're not emotional. I disagree with that because if you analyze traditional VCs, they come from decades and decades of experience. They are rational when they invest. They are rational when they lose money. Crypto VCs are a different breed. They're fairly new. A good percentage statistically have been created by crypto guys that made a ton of money during a bull market, so they wanted to make even more investing in company where they saw potential. But now that they feel the pressure and they're getting paid with the same medicine because startups have been begging them for the last 2 3 years for capital, now they are the ones struggling because they cannot raise. They simply don't have the return, the performance to convince LP, institutional LP, to give them money. So they're literally begging themselves. And they are getting emotional. This is why you are so right that we are seeing them constantly. As soon as um, vesting kicks in, they get out. They get out. And at Semoto, we have several tokenomic experts into the ecosystem, and they are starting to teach this to the founders, to the startup. They tell them, be aware, it is happening. Count it, it's definitely coming. Be prepared. It's not the end of the world, but be sure that your own investors are going to get out and get out quickly.
100%. Yeah, couldn't agree more with any of it, to be honest. The only person who seems to be launching anything right now, is Donald Trump. I don't know if you've heard. I'm sure, Hosh, you've definitely heard of this, but
Yeah, the
Marco,
World Liberty Coin or whatever the hell it's
World
called.
Liberty Financial. World
Yeah, that's
Liberty
it.
Financial. It's got some interesting collaborators, I would say. When you mix like a former president with a guy who taught classes on seduction, it's a really interesting mix of people on that particular board. Yeah, I don't know. So people are
Yeah, the
launching,
world's
just not
going.
the
The
right kind,
world
I
is
guess.
going to absolute shambles. Like it is just bizarre. If anyone's, I'll let you get to the next topic. But what I was going to end on is, so San Francisco used to be the absolute. I would arguably put it up as one of the greatest cities in the world. Like was a destination that anytime anyone ever wanted to go there, and if I had the time, I'm down. Like, let's go. It
Just
was
from a
great.
European perspective, it did like San Fran really did seem like the destination of culture from a European perspective back in like the 90s and stuff.
Oh, it was amazing. The weather's perfect. It's not too hot. Like you go outside the bay, it could be 100 degrees. You go into the bay, it's like perfect. You might even need like a long sleeve shirt on because it's always got a nice breeze. Like it's perfect location. And anyways, real safe place. Like you and I, like we could hang out. Like everyone could hang out. Now it's just shambles. Like there's just so many homeless people. They're all over the place. There's so much crime. Like people park their cars, they got to leave the doors open and their trunks open like at noon because if not, they'll people just break in and you get robbed and beat up and there's just so much violence there now and it's all because of bad policies and then Governor Newsom, like he's not worried about that. He's more worried about if people put parodies and memes on there, on Twitter. He wants to ban that. He's just signed a bill. Like, where's your priorities at, man? Like, why don't you make the great one of the greatest cities in the world is more safe and back to where it used to be at, and you're worried about some random teenage pimple kid, putting memes and parody videos on X. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like we're literally in this crazy simulation right now. It's really weird, man.
I mean, yeah, it's. I think societal interactions are definitely getting strange these days. They are in a lot of ways. They really are. Let's go on to some topics because we have Marco here, and I want to pick his brain because we've got some cool stuff to discuss. Let's go into the main topic of discussion, which is creating businesses in Web3, successful ones that actually survive the test of time and actually have genuine revenue and that kind of thing, like stuff that actually is consistent and it can actually last. But before we do, I would just beg everyone in this room, if I can just ask you to jump into that bottom right-hand side of your screen, give us a like, a retweet, and if you have any opinions, give us a comment. We're more than happy to take comments. If you want to interact live with the show, the best place is probably YouTube. So if you jump on YouTube, you can type in the comments and in the chat, and we can see that on the stream. We can feature the questions too. We've actually just got Chris B who's saying, "Don't forget to like their YouTube stream." So thank you very much, Chris B. So yeah. Make sure you interact with the stream and like and comment, like and retweet on the space. Right. So I think it might be a good idea to get a more detailed intro, maybe, Marco, as to your journey into Web3 and how you ended up at Samoto, and then we'll go into Samoto and the business questions, if that's cool with you.
I need to. A lot of people ask me that. I need to come out with a better story. To be honest, it's quite a boring one. As I said, ex TradeFi guy in 2015, 16. Few funds, few family offices start calling the desk that I was serving, asking how they could get an exposure to this Bitcoin thing. I was the only one that was trading it for my own portfolio, so raised my hand and started executing for a few institutional clients. The time was hell boring. There was only a couple of listed products on regulated markets, so there was not much to do on the future and option side. But that got me fully into the rabbit hole. So from there, I evolved into providing custody, providing staking, and I got fascinated of how fast the whole financial industry was getting involved. So from there, I moved into regulation. So I was working for one of the largest data analytic company in blockchain, providing a regulatory framework and anti-money laundering solution for some of the largest player in the market, from crypto native like Coinbase and Binance to the Bank of England, Vara in Dubai, helping them understanding how to accept, how to integrate cryptos, and more importantly, how to establish the framework for the development in the regions. That is where I kind of got the idea of Samoto, though, because so many clients, either well-established from Web 2 or crypto native projects were ringing, asking for multiple advices. Regulatory was just the beginning of their journey, but there were legal questions, there were accounting and tax related questions. So that made me realize how fragmented the industry was and still at an early stage. So that is where I had the idea of combining this network that I built throughout the years, and I created Semoto. What Semoto is, uh, the easiest way to describe it, we are a B2B marketplace of vetted service providers in the Web3 space. So we incorporate almost 200 companies across law firms, insurance provider, marketing agency, regulatory consultant, etc., taxation, asset recovery. And we help you understanding, identifying who are the right providers for your needs and guide you through this journey.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I mean, that's like the ultimate networker. I love it. I would probably start off the questioning really simple, to be honest, because it's the difference between Web3 and Web2 businesses. Like there is a clear and there's a clear difference. I would love it if you could possibly define it for us in what the major differences are between Web3 businesses and Web2 ones, and where the pain points lie.
So the difference is simply on the use of technology, in my opinion. What we define as Web3 is anything interacting with either blockchain as a technology, so it doesn't have to be crypto, or obviously the speculative aspect of it. So any business that is trading, exchanging, paying, receiving, do custody on crypto, or artificial intelligence. So I would say that the Web3 as a concept is growing mainly because of artificial intelligence at the moment. What we see as Web 2, any traditional business, not just financial institution, but from delivery to food and beverage, logistic, anything that is a traditional business. In my opinion, this is the distinction. It's just the use of technology. Now, the difference per se back in the days was the level of control and regulation. These days, I would say that the barrier in the differentiation between the two is becoming thinner and thinner because all the rules that a traditional asset manager, a broker, has to follow, they're slowly applying to any crypto related business. So, slowly, I would say that there is not going to be any real distinction in the amount of work that has to be done to set up a crypto company compared to a traditional business.
I completely agree with with that like direction for sure. I think the crypto market is maturing in a lot of ways, and I think as we bring on more technologies for AML, for anti-money laundering, for anyone who doesn't know, it's and KYC, all this kind of stuff that's coming on chain. I think we're just going to become aligned with the real world finally, which is a good thing in a lot of ways. I think the trick of Web3 though is to make sure that we maintain our sovereignty, the aspects of sovereignty, ownership, possibly privacy if we can, which is one of Galactica's goals. Just so you're aware, Marco. Yeah, it's there's a lot to it, but I think we are certainly going to align more. I just wanted to jump over to Hoss very quickly because you're kind of your own business, aren't you? You're kind of just you as a business. How have you found it, like trying to be a one man band in Web3?
So it's a lot of work for sure, but I think it's rewarding. Because you kind of set your own schedules. Like just a little bit ago, if I was doing my previous job, I wouldn't have been able to just go to the park with my wife and go for a walk. And you know, I get to just set my times. I actually work more hours now, but I enjoy every moment of what I do, even when I interact with the community. I know they're not as enthusiastic about crypto and everything as right now because of what we've been going through, but we know hopefully over time that'll alter and change. At least that's all we can hope for. I mean, I don't see a way that doesn't. I think blockchain is kind of just like a layer on top of the internet. We've seen how many people use that, and we're extremely early when it comes to the adoption curve, obviously, but it's happening. And then I think Samoto alluded to AI. You know, AI is essentially going to be like an application layer for humanity, really, and it's just at its infancy. I know AI has been around forever. It's been around since for forever, basically. But where actually everyone can use it and benefit from it and learn from it and teach it, and there's just so many things you can do with it. And we haven't even touched anything really with AI yet, and it's going to be fascinating because if you think about it, even in our lifetimes, if anyone's a little bit older, that's not like an iPad baby. No disrespect, but if you are, that's fine. You remember the old world too. Like there wasn't just every piece of data at your fingertips, right? Like you actually had to like go out of your way to learn stuff, like really go out of your way. So humans now are just a million times smarter, even say 20 years ago.
We
You
actually
know,
discussed this last week, Hoss, on one of our on our space, like the scarcity of knowledge. Like the scarcity of knowledge has just changed so much that knowledge is losing value fast. It's really,
it
really
really
interesting.
is. It really is. Like you have to have skills. You have to actually have physical skills. You
And
know,
persona and like an actual you have to have value in your own personality in person and not just like knowledge anymore. It's all sorts of other kinds of value.
Yeah, exactly. And like kind of maybe tie this back into the business of Web3. You have to keep evolving, right? Like the data keeps changing every moment. And if you're complacent and lackadaisical and you're done learning, you know, this is definitely not the industry for you because I got sick and wasn't really in tune. Like if I was trying to keep up with stuff, it was just driving me nuts because I wasn't feeling well. And so much stuff had happened, right? And that's just the way it is. And there's nothing you could do about it. Technology always evolves. Like I said this numerous times on shows, but you look at your phone, the phone that you have, everyone's phone that they have right now is good enough basically to do everything. But there's going to be more and more that come that is more efficient, faster, does whatever better. And that's just the drive of humans. Like they always want something better, faster, more scalable. And you get that in this space if you get the opportunity to run your own business because there's so many different things you can do in this industry, and especially depending on where you're located at. I mean, you might only have to do a few things, and you might make more money doing that than you potentially could working wherever you're at. But you have to be willing to learn, grow. You have to have the characteristics of reliable, respectful, trustful. And you have to be a hard worker because it's not easy. But I wouldn't change it for anything. It's the uncertainty is always great, right? Like, but it's all
Hang on,
different
the
depending on your.
uncertainty. I don't like uncertainty. Sorry.
See, I kind of do because anything that's certain, there's never any sort of return on it. Like when you work the job where, okay, so my previous job, and this is probably relates to so many people. You go to work and you get in once you get into your job, say year one, maybe year two, depending on what you're doing. Maybe it takes 3 years, but you know every outcome pretty much. Nothing ever changes. Now I know this is 100% for every human, but for most humans. And then you have this hierarchy chain where you're stuck on the hamster wheel, and people that are above you a lot of times are not as qualified as you. They are not as knowledgeable as you. They don't care about themselves as much as they should. They're like kind of disrespectful, whatever. And you can't get out of it. In this space, people do kind of prioritize you if you, like I said, you're reliable, respectful, trustful. You're a hardworking individual. So it's a big shift. I mean, I'm full disclosure, I'm 38, so I've been kind of around the block a little bit now, and this space is awesome, man. Like the uncertainty is kind of a part of the game, man. Like you might lose like the crypto might go to zero in a few years from now. I don't think it's going to. I think we're just like really early. I think we're like a little over 2 trillion. I think we're going 20, 30x from probably a 20, 30x in the next 20 years from here. Like as in total value in here, total people in here, and everything else.
I
So
think if we can
um,
onboard people onto the like literally the internet of ownership, yeah, why not?
Yeah, and I think
That would,
people are
that would be the
starting.
main thing. Absolutely, mass adoption is the only solution for this industry.
Yeah,
Absolutely, man.
and just I'm gonna end it on this. You're starting to see it, regardless of like your geographical region or your political affiliation. You have to be really emotional or blind to see that a lot of these globalists are kind of just attacking all the freedoms that we can all unite together and kind of say, hey, man, that's not right. We don't agree with that. We don't agree with this, and thank God that there's people out there like Elon and Pavel and people that try to allow us to speak freely on these centralized, the central entities, because it's a shame, man. You're like, we're like in this place now where you can't even say something that kind of annoys someone or pisses them off, or and without you maybe getting ridiculed, banned, or whatever. Like, life isn't supposed to be like that. You're supposed to be able to decide, you and I and anyone listening, like, hey, man, I don't like that person. I think that person's a jackass. Like, I'm just gonna block them, or I don't need to listen to them. But they still have the right to kind of be a jackass. You know what I mean? Like, it's us. That's what I love about crypto. We get to determine like what we buy, right? Like, if I don't like Ethereum anymore, I'll just go to Solana. If I don't like Solana, I'll just go here. Or I like them all. So you're free to go wherever. It's kind of fun, man. Like, I think that's kind of how it's supposed to be. And me being kind of a historian of America, like the founding fathers that built America, built the Constitution, everything, they would have been all for crypto because it's like freedom. It's like freedom of choice. Like, we get to just decide what we want to do. I love it. So
Me
anyway,
too,
I
man.
digress.
I think it's the best thing since sliced bread. It really is. It's the future. It's something that's going to change all of our lives for the better. Especially like we were talking about artificial intelligence and stuff. Like when we do inevitably have artificial identities buzzing around on the digital in our digital highways, we're going to want to be able to separate those artificial identities from the real humans. The only real way to do that is if you've got an immutable, verifiable identity. Really, that's kind of the only way of doing it in the digital space. So I think like the only two ways that have been shown are CBDCs from the governments and blockchain. So I think and decentralized blockchain. So I think we're
Yeah,
gonna have to go with one of them, and I hope we all know which one we want to go with.
exactly. And
um,
people listening now, we've been doing this for a while, but remember that Galactica has been chipping away at this for a long time. And at one point, maybe it's not this year, or it won't be this year, next year, the year after, or 4 years from now, it will be a narrative in crypto, and like how important it is to have like self-sovereign identity, to have verifiable credits, and like a trustworthy score and everything else on based off of your activity solely on chain, not based off of like who you actually are or what you believe in. It's based off of your actual contributions to society or crypto or whatever. And it's not easy to build that. It's a lot of moving
no, it ain't.
parts, you know. So, but just
um,
remember that, because like I've been in this industry for a while, and a lot of times I'm in that particular, whatever particular narrative, way, way before it's even cool or thought of, or people thought like AI and blockchain was stupid. And then you fast forward to 2024, you go to these conferences, so many people, oh, I'm doing this in AI, blah blah blah. But I've been in it since 21, when everyone thought it was ridiculous. So it's just about being early and then figuring a way to like cross that finish line before other people front run you, I guess. But that's kind of what it is. So, anyways,
for sure, man. I would argue that we've always been cool, always. But anyway, I'd just like to ask you, Marco. Let's wind this into a thread. So, given the fact that we have all of these wildly different sovereign individuals and sovereign companies and non-sovereign companies and Web2 companies trying to get in, what is your strategy for networking all these people together? That is your main focus, your primary goal. So what is your actual strategy for winding together all these different entities into I guess a regulatory compliant, a good business model? What's your strategy for networking all these companies together?
Trust and transparency. So every single member of the smart ecosystem on the provider side is vetted by us, but we're not expecting to be the gatekeeper. So what we do is just the initial groundwork. We have a system in place to vet each provider. We do, first of all, you need to be recommended into the ecosystem by clients, by other service providers. So already the network proves your quality. Then we do social media presence. We need to verify that you are actually active in the community that we support. You're doing some good for the whole ecosystem. Because remember, the whole mission behind Simoto is to fight back on those wannabe experts, those people that change their LinkedIn title and all of a sudden they claim to be blockchain AI expert after maybe 6 months in the business. Um, so the vetting starts from a social presence, it goes into adverse media checks, so we verify that you haven't screwed up in past. And then we ask for at least 3 of your clients to prove the quality of your work. And then transparency. So what we do almost as a layer two, the whole ecosystem can leave ranking and review to your work. So similar to Uber in a way, another fairly successful marketplace. So far, they're doing better than Samoto. But almost like Uber, if you don't keep a certain ranking, you get automatically kicked out of the ecosystem. So we allow the clients to speak freely, tell what they think about a specific provider, and help the other users. So it's all about trusting Smoto, trusting the whole ecosystem, people that have been there before you.
That's incredible. Yeah, like I love that you started with the trust network. That's absolutely beautiful. So it does seem like the ideal basis for any kind of networking, and like the kind of businesses that you're actually like networking together. Do you have any examples of businesses that you have like what are your biggest success stories? I guess that's probably the best question.
So when we talk about clients, we tend to divide them into 2 categories. Again, the Web 2 and the Web 3. When it comes to Web 3, we partner up with ecosystem like Tezos, several VC in the space. We partner up with accelerators like the large one, like Brink, for example. So we come in either at an early stage, literally I need to create my company to launch a token. Is BVI better than Cayman? Should I consider Dubai? And either you find what you need via the marketplace, or we guide you, we take you by hand in your journey. And then there are the well-established companies that just need, they reach a certain growth stage, and the provider that they're using are not enough anymore. They need to replace, they need to build, integrate, and this is when they use us. When it comes to Web 2, is more about we want to do something in the space, we're still not sure, or even we're not planning to touch crypto. Crypto is bad, crypto is the devil, but my clients do have an appetite and I'm not going to miss out on that opportunity. So, what if I want to launch custody in my fund? What if I want to um, do a bit of staking for them, or I don't know, tokenize units of my fund in order to fractionalize it and sell more of them? So, there are different journeys, but they all have the same common denominator that are finding top service providers.
Perfect. Everyone on the listener panel, we're getting some really useful information here. Like I said at the start of the show, we try and be educational with our streams. We try to be unbiased as far as protocols go, and we try and keep the shilling to a minimum, that kind of thing. But like when people are being educational and sharing really good stuff, always good to share it yourself. So if you can give us a like and a retweet on the space, it would be very, very, very appreciated. Try and get the information out to more people. It's always very much appreciated. So Marco, as I kind of mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're developing a kind of a decentralized university, like just an educational institution, very much in its infancy stages now. We've begun with with the business faction, is what we're calling it. However, the main goal is to allow people to understand personal growth, to understand networking and the value of networking, get people to create connections and grow their network to the point where they can start getting more opportunities, better opportunities for jobs, better opportunities for wealth generation, business creation, that kind of thing. Now, we've got a bunch of individuals in that program that are looking for just those things. What kind of advice would you give to someone in the Web3 space regarding networking specifically? Like trying to find the people who you actually want to find and who will benefit you the most and who you can provide value to. How do you find those people?
Well, I mean, the general advice would be put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to look silly. Sometimes you just have to ask questions. Nobody knows it all, and be aware of people that claim they know it all. Um, the beauty about crypto compared to other industries is that we throw a ton of different events. So you can really meet from the CEO of a major company down to an intern that just got his first job and can give you some useful information. So the only think there really, even if you don't want to leave your house or even if you live in a remote area, um, look at what you are doing over here. I mean, through Twitter, Telegram, LinkedIn, there are so many free resources out there. You can just sit on a Twitter space and learn something. You just, I think Host mentioned it before, you just have to have that desire of learning, the desire of proving yourself. So attend events. You don't have to spend a ton of money for tickets. There are after parties where you can meet interesting people. You can just interact with people on social media. Keep learning, keep educating yourself, but put yourself out there.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. You know what, Hoss, I'm going to include you on that question as well, if you don't mind, man. Like, because we've kind of got Marco from the B2B side of things, and I suppose you could call yourself B2C, if in like a very individual sense. Like, how do you go about finding new people to expand your network?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question. Just learning, growing, supporting others. I think it's not really excuse me, it's not much of a fad right now, but I was really having a lot of fun with NFTs. My problem is I never bought them to make money. I just bought them to have fun and kind of mingle and like a social thing, you know. And I bought so many of them, and just like basically being part of the communities, trying as much as I can whenever there would be something going on within that community to maybe swing by, say hello, and support, retweet stuff like that, and then also I think going to events is single-handedly the best thing you potentially and possibly can do in this space because even if you have relationships with people, you know, on X or on Telegram or, you know, calls that you're doing between amongst one another, it's just a different thing when you get to kind of see the person in real life, right? Like, not that that's not real life, but in person. So you kind of bond better, you grow your relationships better, but then also they have people that they know, and you just build up a bigger network, and you know, you get to meet new people too, and as long as you're willing to step out of your shell a little bit, you know, some people like to interact with others, like I personally do because I'm kind of always cooped up on my computer and like again, I'm a little bit older, so I lived in the old world where you had to kind of play outside and find random shit to do to like entertain
Good
yourself
old
because we
days,
didn't have
baby.
yeah, we didn't have smartphones, and we didn't have we had video games, but they were kind of shit. But we thought they were awesome. But we're only like most kids only played whenever the weather was really terrible out, you know. And so we just like learned how to socially interact with others, and that's like a dying skill. I know in America it is. I don't know if everywhere in the world's the same, but it's really a dying breed. It's a dying thing. So if you're able to speak with people, I think it's the most important attribute you can have, like skill set you can have, is being able to speak to one another and listen and learn and stuff like that. And Samoto said it, but Yeah, you have to be willing to learn, because if you're willing to learn and you know a lot, people will kind of gravitate to you. And I'm a perfect example of it. Like, I didn't want to do any of this stuff, or didn't even think I would, and I just felt kind of obligated, that I learned so much. Like, why not just kind of help others and give that knowledge to others? Because I was fortunate, under unfortunate circumstance, during like the virus and stuff, to actually have free time, and I just nerded out real hard and very passionate about it. So I was like, you know what? I get it, man. People don't have this much time, but like, maybe what I'll do is TLDR it, metaphor analogies, so people can learn these concepts a little bit quicker than I had to. And yeah, and Simona said before is, I don't have an ego when it comes to, I might have an ego towards certain things, but when it comes to knowledge and learning things, I have zero ego whatsoever. I am not afraid to say to myself, man, you don't know much. And you ask questions, you do the research, and then luckily I have a big network where if I don't know something or can't find something out, I'm in different groups, basically because I've put in the work to ask them questions. Like, man, this person built this chain and they have a CS degree, or they've been doing this for 15, 20 years. Like, I could just hit them up, say, hey, like, what about this? What do you think about that? Or what, I always ask this question all the time. This is a question I think people should ask, especially if you're getting started in this space. Is, if you have a call with someone and you're like, man, that person's intelligent, or they're very bright, or whatever, you think highly of them. Ask them things like, hey, one thing I ask all the time is, what have you found to be beneficial in your journey? Like, what document, what book, whatever it is. I'm like, can you
Samoa,
please
you've
send
got
it
your
to me?
hand up, man. Marco, why not? Go for it.
No, it's absolutely right. I'll tell you a story. We built a network now of around 200 companies. We started with the lawyers that we knew and trusted. And then we did exactly what Oz just said. We asked them, who else should we speak to? Who else is really good? And it developed into taxation. It developed into some other aspects. And now is becoming intricate, but really creative in a way. So lawyers are introducing us to company that might insure your claim if your asset have been stolen, or if you are in Europe, particularly in the UK, you probably know what financial promotion is, meaning that you cannot push crypto investment product if you're not regulated. So all of a sudden marketing agency are commingling with law firms and the regulatory bodies. So, but you need to put yourself out there. You need to ask your first contact who you should speak to next, and it will grow, it will expand. And we are here with now 200 institutional player with us, but you all started exactly in the way that the host described.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome, man. I just want to put out something quickly because I was going to do it kind of mid-show. It's gone a bit later than I thought. So what we're going to do, the attendance code, guys, the attendance code for this space, for anyone who's partaking in the community, on our community quest board, the attendance code is network with a capital N, network. So if you want to complete that quest, the attendance code once again is network. The quest will be available this time for 12 hours, so you can come back to the recording here of the live stream. You'll be able to find it. You've got 12 hours to claim it, so please do so. Do not share it around if you can help it. It makes the game far more fun if you don't do that. So if you can just keep it to yourself, earn your points and be on your way, that'll be awesome. While I've got you, please make sure you like and retweet the space just while we go through a couple more questions. And really appreciate you coming and listening, guys. Like I say, I'm learning an awful lot from Marco and from Hoss. So it's absolutely awesome when there's good education on offer, especially for free. Like, it's free. It's free here. It's amazing. We've got Marmil in the YouTube comments saying, in short, Web3 is the new Far West. Shoot in every direction. What do you reckon, Marco? Do you still consider Web3 the Wild West, or do you believe it's grown up a little bit since then?
I guess it's exactly like the Wild West, meaning that it was free for all. Now there are definitely way more sheriffs around, but more importantly, is getting divided into some town where the law does apply and the desert out there. So in crypto, we have white, gray, and dark area, and we are pushing the boundaries more and more. So let's take, for example, the launch of a token. If you're crazy enough to launch a security token, you know that you are going to get highly scrutinized and highly regulated. Launching a token at the moment, a security token in particular in the US, is going to cost you money, is going to take quite a lot of time and explanation to do. But there are pockets of opportunity in Europe, for example. Switzerland, the law, the regulation on security token fits on a single page. So it's nice, easy to digest and to implement. That doesn't make it cheaper. For example, in Germany, there are good opportunities. Then you have the gray area, offshore jurisdiction like BVI and Cayman, that probably are the major place at the moment to launch tokens. It's easier, it's slightly cheaper, but you still probably fall under VASP regulation, and you need to be ready to be controlled and scrutinized. And then obviously you ended up in the dark part of the market, countries that are not doing AML and KYC properly. So it will be nice and easy to launch, but reputational damage potentially come with it. So if you want to raise from institutional investors, you want to launch in secure jurisdiction. So there are all those elements to counterbalance.
Oh, yes. We're seeing some love in the chat, by the way, Marco. I don't know if you can see it for Switzerland. There's an awful lot of Swiss love going on here. Kings of regulation. They're very good people. So welcome to the Swiss who are in the chat. I think what we're going to do is we'll go through a couple more, just one or two more questions that I just really want to get. Like I say, Marco, while we've got you here, you are a wealth of knowledge. Really appreciate you coming on. So may as well ask any questions that we can. So I'll ask you the simple one. Where do you see the future of Web3 business models heading? Like, we've seen so many different types of business model come out in the Web3 industry. 90% of them, just anecdotally, 90% of them don't seem to actually make any real revenue, or at least reliable revenue. What do you think the future business models of Web3 look like?
So two things. First of all, we're going to see consolidation. I'll give you an example. Think of institutional custody. How many players are out there providing institutional custody? We have, from the technology only, Fireblocks. We have institutional graded like Metaco for banks. We have BitGo. We have Comino. We have Zodiac, a ton. Now, we experienced that in past in the equity market. Now, how many banks that do custody are out there? An handful. So we are going to experience throughout every sector of Web3 consolidation, number of wallets, number of on and off ramping solution, number of layer one as well. There is going to be consolidation, in my opinion. And there's nothing bad about that. Then, going back to your question, I think despite the tone of attention, and this might be controversial, but RWA, useful, great use case. I personally love them, but I don't think they're going to be really the trigger to change this industry. On the other hand, I think the PIN, way more interesting, way more revolutionary. But the bottom line is what we haven't seen yet, and I think it goes back to what you and us were saying before, we need something new that will bring the masses to us. And it's not going to be another wallet solution. It's not going to be another decentralized solution or a bridge. It has to be something simple that my grandmother can use, but more importantly, has to use, because so far we haven't been able to attract the majority of the population because of these two reasons. It's overcomplicated, and really, except for maybe people living in a third world country or countries with crazy inflation, there is still not a direct need for this technology, unfortunately, or at least available for everyone.
I would completely agree. Once again, man, really do. I think like you've hit the nail on the head, especially with like you can see examples of it though. Like you can see like some little lights at end of tunnels kind of thing in such third world countries. For example, Nigeria is absolutely enormously enamored with crypto. They don't have very good like a banking system. Their banking system is terrible. It's awful. It's corrupt in almost all cases. So self-sovereign custody of their own assets and money and transferable money is everything, and that's why they're on the map as like the biggest growing crypto sector. It's just like there's a genuine need, but that's what people respond to is actual genuine need, and that genuine need has to be so strong that it overcomes people's standard mode of thinking, in which they're already used to their infrastructure. They don't want to change. No one wants to change to anything if they don't have to. So there needs to be a big catalyst in order for people to actually even think of changing. One of the biggest selling points for me for crypto is the freedom on offer. It's the sovereignty and the ability to be uncensored in many cases. I am, from my perspective as an employee of Galactica, we are 100% for regulation. We believe that regulation is a massive, massive part of society, and it needs to be there. We believe that sovereignty and people's personal freedoms, such as privacy, need to be intact as well. That's why we're building out the technology for such things. So one of the last questions that I want to give you, Marco, is I want to give you a little description of a regulatory framework, I suppose, that we're working on, and then I would just love to get your opinion on it. So what we're doing is we are basically taking off-chain trust. So we're taking from Swissborg, which is a Swiss-based, fully regulated European financial services provider. They do KYC, they do crypto trading, they do all sorts of things, but it's a really, really good product. So we take off-chain trust from them. We use we use technology that we call Guardians to sit in the middle between Swissborg and our blockchain, Galactica, which privatizes everything. So it's basically a private oracle. We'll keep it as simple as that. So Swissborg never knows the on-chain address of the people who they are providing KYC to. However, that information can be discovered in the event of a regulatory event. So essentially, it's privacy by default. However, and privacy on chain. So you mostly transact with zero knowledge proofs or through pools of data that are encrypted with fully homomorphic encryption. So you just remain private on chain until such time as there is a regulatory event trigger or a request to any given DApp. For the information, after which governance unlocks the information of the people who are relevant in that regulatory problem. So I'm just really curious what you would consider of such a regulatory an attempt at regulatory compliance on chain while maintaining privacy.
So first of all, it's amazing. It's extremely fascinating. I haven't seen zero knowledge proof applied to the use of KYC and potentially AML data. Really great. My only question would be, where are the data sitting at? Are they sitting all at Swissborg, at the Oracle, or with you?
So they're in two places. The data is in Swissborg's back offices, so in their systems. So basic, legacy Web2 stuff as far as like normal KYC stuff, and then they also sit with the user. So the user also has a copy of the KYC data from which they inform their from which they inform the ZK proofs that they publish on chain. So it's held sovereignly and it's held with Swissborg.
So I don't see any major issue, to be honest. GDPR will probably apply at some level, but I see Swissborg mainly as as the entity that will face regulatory burden on treatment of data, storage of data, etc., because you are just facilitating the flow. And obviously, from the client point of view, is sovereign and is self custody of his own data, so there are no issue on that front. So, if you ask me on the spot, I don't see any major regulatory issue. Data protection, data storage, but again, it seems that it applies mainly to Swissborg, that as an entity I know extremely well, and they are fully regulated and they follow GDPR rules.
Fantastic. No, I just really appreciate that opinion, Marco. Like I say, I just wanted to get your view. I mean, we've obviously done our due diligence. We've been building this product for about 2.5 years now. We are data compliant in every single way that's humanly possible. Yeah, we just it's just always good to get the opinion of someone like yourself who has your finger in so many pies, as it were, as far as the regulatory and Web 2, Web 3, all of it. It's great to get those opinions. So I really appreciate that. Right, Marco. In your role as founder, CEO of Samoto, do you have any CTAs or anything final you would like to say on Samoto's behalf before we start winding down the show? I'd love to hear anything that you have got coming up or anything that you would like to just shout out.
First of all, thanks a lot for the opportunity taking part in the podcast. Absolutely love what you guys are building. I didn't know about the university angle as well, so I'll definitely follow up with you on that one. So my advice for anybody out there is, I know that running a startup is scary and you are cash strapped, but I can promise you that try to avoid a bit of extra money for a legal advice, for the right jurisdiction set up. It can cost you way more on the longer run. So plan your budget accordingly, but use the right people. Don't go cheap and don't try to find shortcuts because it can backfire brutally. So now that I know about what you're doing as well to support the ecosystem, I would love to contribute. So we would love to give free consultation to any of the projects of your listeners and discounted rates on whatever they need.
Marco, that's a very generous offer, and thank you very much. So I hope you hear that, everyone in the listener panel. If you are taking part in our ecosystem, then we want to be making sure that we show full support for Samoto for offering something like that. So please, if you would do us the honor of jumping up into the speaker panel, you'll see Samoto up there in the speaker panel. Follow their profile, give them some love, maybe give them a few likes on whatever their latest post might be. It would really help them out. And we will be obviously talking behind the scenes about everything else. So thank you very much, Marco. Really appreciate that. We'll get a final goodbye in a second. I just want to get a final word from Hoss. Hoss, mate, I hope you've learned something today, man. I've learned a ton.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I always try to learn something, but in all seriousness, I appreciate everyone that tunes into and also listens to the recording. I know you have asked a couple times with the like and retweet and things like that, and I do so many spaces. I'm actually starting to say it even on my own personal spaces because we're saying like knowledge is really tough now, as in I don't want to say dilution, but kind of dilution, and things get passed up, and you want like valuable, informative, like actual content and people that are actually putting their heart and soul into things. I think this podcast always does, and it's always educational, but more so you kind of get people's past experiences and whatever particular topics and things like that as well. So yeah, share it with people, talk to people. I don't want to say indoctrinate people, but like talk to people, because I do think crypto is the ultimate sign of freedom. And depending on where you're at, sometimes it's like in America, you could walk in the streets, and if there was 1,000 people and you asked them if they were into crypto or if they owned any Bitcoin or something, majority of them would say no. Or if you just ask like, hey, what's the price of Bitcoin, and they would have zero clue, which is crazy because if you look at it historically since it came out, it's been the fastest growing asset, and crypto blockchain technology has as well. And I think we're super early. I hate saying that all the time, but just looking at things from the outside perspective and comparing it to like Web 2 and Web 1, like we're super early in that curve, that adoption curve. And yeah, man, just keep doing your thing. I think that the space is going to exponentially keep growing. So if you're not involved in projects or have your feet wet and maybe potentially earning crypto or funds like within crypto, I kind of urge you to potentially take that leap, because I know I have, and it's been life changing. It's been so much better. It's less stressful. I mean, I don't say less stressful, but more rewarding for the stress that you have to do, that you do have to endure, and you feel valuable whenever you see growth. And yeah, you can always learn. This is a space where you can keep learning, and you'll have time to devote to yourself to learn other tasks. Maybe you want to learn how to code or whatever your hobby is, and you'll actually appreciate that time that you do have. So anyways, thank you as always for inviting me. I'm glad that I can make it and that I'm not coughing the entire time, because I've been dealing with that
I'm
for
so
like
glad
two
you're
and a half
feeling better,
weeks.
bro.
I never get sick, and then I got so wrecked, and then the after, it wasn't even that bad when it happened. It was just the annoyance of like 2.5 weeks of just nonstop coughing. It was so irritating, and talking a lot, that it's hard to do when you keep coughing. So, anyways, I'm kind of glad to be back, and yeah, man, thank you as always. Thank you, Galactica. I'm glad that you guys are just chugging along, and I'm really looking forward to once everything is out there, and helping spread the word even more once there's a live go to market, hey, this is what we're doing, and
Mate,
seeing
you
like
want
all
to
the
you want to
different
wait
people
until
use it.
next week, bro. Next week we've got a lot to talk about on that front. We've got our first UX stuff coming out. I can't wait. I
Nice.
shouldn't probably be saying any of that, but anyway, in any case, there's stuff, there's cool stuff happening next week. Never mind.
Absolutely. Hopefully I can make it next week too. And then yeah, definitely. But nice meeting you, Samantha. I thought you had a lot of great insight too. So it was really cool. And seems you're in the trad fibro industry as well. And you guys, you understand it. So you understand the value just like I do. And it's so cool. You said Nigeria. There's so many places in the world that just get positively just, you know, involved with crypto, because it is changing their life. So it's great. So one by one.
Freaking amazing what you can do. How the feelings all change when you take control of everything, everyone. When you take control of yourself, when you take control of your assets, whatever it is, just taking a little bit of control back for yourself, it makes all the difference to your mental health and well-being. It really does. Wow. Okay. What a great podcast, everyone. Really, really appreciate you. Everyone, if you could follow Hoss as well. I've obviously shouted out Samoto plenty of times. Give them a follow, but give Hoss your love as well. We've missed him. He's been away for too long. So give him a follow on his account. Also give him a like or a retweet or something on his whatever his latest post is, because he's a legend. So that has been Into the Cypher State, everyone. I really, really appreciate everyone who's come. Pat yourself on the back for learning something today. I've really learned a load. I'd just like to we'll give everyone like a chance to just say bye in a sec, but like it's been an amazing space. We've had like so many insights, so much knowledge dropped. So if you would ever like to have your opinion or like question included on these spaces, just remember you can be part of these spaces. It's not a problem at all. You've seen a few questions pop up from the YouTube chat. You've seen we'll get in questions from the Discord, from the Telegram, whatever. We'll bring in questions from just about anywhere and put them on the live stream for you. Because community interaction is everything. It really is. Like your opinions, yourselves, you all matter so much. So just make sure you, if you want to interact and you have a question, ask it. Just jump on the YouTube stream, ask in the chat, and we'll get you up here and we'll ask you a question. Otherwise, you're always welcome to jump up on the speaker panel. This is an open space. We host it every single Wednesday. At generally at 8 o'clock UTC. Can change depending on the guest, on Hoss's schedule, whatever. We've got some flexibility there, but generally at 8 o'clock UTC every Wednesday. Right then, everyone. We are Galactica. We are trying to build something special, something that helps bring society itself on-chain eventually, with citizens' rights and freedoms intact, with compliance, regulatory compliance intact as well, in an on-chain nation that we call the Cypher State. So it turns out that when you have real people on-chain with their rights and freedoms intact and financial privacy intact, it's an awful lot easier to activate things like real-world assets and DePIN, as Marco was talking about, DIDs, reputation-enhanced DeFi credit scores, all that stuff that Web3 kind of needs to realize its full potential as the third web, the underlying layer of the internet, of the new internet. So thank you very much for your questions, everyone. Really, really appreciate it. Visit galactica.com/links to start off in Galactica. Please remember to give us a like and a repost and a comment if you want to on the way out. And we will see you next week. Marco, thank you very much, my friend. Really, really appreciate you coming on. And Pos, as always, cheers, man. Appreciate you so much. We'll see you next week, everyone. Next week on Wednesday. We can also join us on Monday for our Telegram AMA. I'll see you soon, everyone. Bye-bye.